Okay, folks, I think we are live, and this time only on YouTube.
Yes, how exciting is this? We're moving on. We're changing things once again. I think we've changed like 37 times since we started, like the days of the week, the time, the this and that, Facebook. But I think this is going to be the best, right, Juan?
Well, I think so. I think as we work this out, we kind of figure out what works and what doesn't work and all that kind of stuff. So, and by the way, folks, we are also changing the way we're doing the thing on the back end to make it hopefully a little better and a little easier. So, we're kind of in the transition zone right now. So we may run into some glitches. We are already actually ran into some glitches. So, so just bear with us if things kind of, glitch out here and there today. So please bear with us.
When Juan says we're changing it behind the scenes, he means he's changing it behind the scenes because Alec and I, this is way above. This is way above us. Yeah. But anyway, Alec, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing my breathing exercises, so Linda would be proud of me since I'm was one of the glitches tonight. But I'm happy to be here. Excited to only have one place to look for your comments, so keep your comments coming. And looking forward to the topic for today.
Yeah, the topic today is water. But getting back to Linda, Alec co-hosts a show that we have on Monday at noon. It's still Monday at noon, Alec?
It still is Monday at noon.
Monday at noon, Meditation Mondays. And the reason Alec's taking a deep breath is because Linda's helping us all relax on the Meditation Mondays. So for our new members, Juan, I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Okay, go ahead, do that. And then I'm going to switch over, make sure that, hold on, share screen and get rid of, okay, there we go.
Okay, so Phototherapy Live for the new members every Thursday at 5 p.m. We have a ton of fun doing it. Juan and I are mostly the on-screen talent, and behind the scenes, and sometimes on screen, is Alec, who's going to read all the comments. So we really encourage you to add add your comments, questions, whatever. We're here to help. That's why we're doing it. Again, for the new members, we started out, Juan and I were showing our own pictures, and now we just show the members' pictures, although today we do have an exception. So it's every Thursday at 5 p.m., and today's topic is water. And we do this for a lot of reasons. One, it's good phototherapy, which is the name of our Facebook group, but we do it to share, inspire, motivate, and grow. And these are just three of the awesome pictures you're going to see today. Juan, what do you think?
These are amazing pictures. All of them. I can't even pick my favorite. I'm just worried about that guy on top of that lava mountain.
Yeah, Marty Snyderman, a longtime friend. I met him when I was in my scuba diving days. He actually wrote a post about that. But I think that's an amazing picture. Sissy Fry took the picture up on the left, and we're gonna go through these pictures. But I just want to give the new members and our existing members a quick little look at the amazing work that our members are doing. Now, we're going to take a break next week talking about changing it up. Juan has a workshop out in Utah. He promised me. I told him we need you. He promised me he's going to be. We do. He's going to be safe and sound out there. But anyway, get your friends to subscribe, and we have a lot of shows here. I think we have more than 20 shows. So next week, tune in at the same time and maybe look at some of the other shows. So again, today's topic is water. And I'm sneaking two of my pictures in here. Alec and Juan have been here. Linda Marshall has been here. Several of the other members have been here. Joe Pellicone, who I think got about 25 or 50 people to join from Long Island, is coming up here next week. So Juan, I don't know if Alec, I don't know if Joe is here today, but this is the kind of scene I think you'll see for the next couple of days. But I'd like to give a couple of tips here. One, frame for a cover. Of course, there's no magazine, Croton on Hudson today yet, but one of the tips is
you should start that. You should start that magazine. You have so many pictures of Croton on Hudson, right? You could start your own magazine.
And we have a video. We could have a video part because you and I did like more than an hour's worth of videos here, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So anyway, just a couple of tips. You never know. You never know who's watching. So frame, I like the tip name of the game is to fill the frame, but compose for a cover because you never know. So I compose for a cover there, but also compose for Instagram. Yes, we can post horizontal and vertical pictures there, but I like to, crop square. So I compose for the square crop. Just another tip is to use a foreground element to add a sense of place to the scene, and to use a small aperture to get everything in the scene in focus. But it is really beautiful here. Alec, Linda, I don't know if you want to come up on Sunday. I'm busy tomorrow, but it is really beautiful. And Juan, how about this shot? This is an awesome picture with a nice foreground element, by the way.
This image I took. When was it? That was. Hold on a second. I got to switch screens here, folks. Give me 1 second here. Take Alex out. Add. Here we go. This is an image I took in Pennsylvania at Ricketts Glen. I had a private workshop earlier this year here. Oh, Ricketts kind of getting a little. I don't know what happened. Yeah, there you go. I had a workshop here this year. I used to do a lot of workshop here, and I did a private workshop early in the pandemic, sometime in June or July, I forget. And the water levels were low, but it's still, Ricketts Glen is such a beautiful place. In a span of one day, you get to photograph over 30 waterfalls at this park. And who knows, Rick? Maybe we should do like a little phototherapy workshop here when we actually are able to get out there and mingle again with friends.
This sounds like a great idea. And just being by the flowing water, the peace, calm, the scenery, the sound. I think that's a great idea. So our members can stay tuned. Do you have one or two tips that you can give around this picture, Juan?
Well, everything is about composition, right? And where you place the elements in the scene. We have this water that's flowing from left to right. So I had to kind of get into a little precarious position to the left of the waterfall so I could get this greenery on the left-hand side to cover some of that dead space that was there on those rocks. So make sure that you look around the edges, try to fill in as much of that dead space with something that's of interest. So that's the first one. The second one is, obviously, when you're trying to shoot water, I like to do a long exposure, a slow shutter, so that I can get that nice silky water coming down. And that's going to depend, the speed that you're going to shoot at, it depends on how fast the water is moving. In a situation like this, where it's a cascade where the water is falling down, you don't need much. You may need maybe like half a second to get the water looking like this. You don't want to use a super long exposure, because then what happens is you lose definition on that water. The water just becomes a big white line. You don't get any definition. And the third tip is to use a polarizer to try to get the reflection off that water at the bottom. Now, unfortunately, this day was kind of really overcast. It was actually raining when I took this image. So the polarizer didn't work as well as it normally would, but it did allow me to get in underwater a little bit and see some of those rocks. So always a polarizer when you're shooting water to try to remove those reflections.
Those are great tips. I love this. I'm also glad you said it depends.
Yes.
I don't know if our viewers can see it, but I have on.
Oh, they can.
They can see my It Depends It Depends T-shirt that our friend Spike made for us.
Yeah, I need him to send me a shirt like that.
Well, he has a template, so I think you could do it. And also, Juan loves birds, so I really want to wish Juan a happy Cool Birds Day.
Cool Birds Day.
Maybe you could type in the comments, wish, Juan is an amazing bird photographer. You see his picture over on the right, mine's over on the left. So Juan, happy Cool Birds Day. Congratulations on all your wonderful bird pictures. And for our members who are interested in wildlife and nature photography, on December 6th, Juan and I are doing a 4-hour wildlife and nature seminar. So if you guys are interested in that, send me an email at ricksalmon@mac.com or Juan an email at juanpons.com. So I was thinking, it's Birds Day, Cool Birds Day. What can we do for Alex?
Well, actually, Rick, before you go on, I want to make sure, folks, we haven't made a formal announcement yet to this. This is kind of a sneak preview. So if you want information, you want us to add you to a mailing list where you can get information once we make the formal announcement, send either Rick or I an email. But don't look for a website or details yet, because that's not set up as of yet. We will be doing that, you know, in the next month or so, but just keep an eye out for that. And we just wanted to give you kind of a little sneak preview here.
It's going to be a ton of fun. It's really going to be a ton of fun. 4
So,
hours of.
so I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You were talking about Alex.
No. It's good. So Alec likes birds. He's been photographing birds. So I figured we could wish Alec a happy Birds Day. But then I realized it's his birthday tomorrow, so we could wish him a happy birthday. Look at his face.
Wow.
So we had a special birthday cake made up. Happy birthday, Alec, from the phototherapy group. You're a very important part of this great group. I was going to say organization, but we're not really an organization. So thank you so much, Alec, for all your help and everything else you're doing for us.
Thank you. I really am surprised, and I appreciate it. And it looks like it's nicer than the cake I'm gonna get tomorrow.
Oh, really? Why? Isn't she gonna get you like a great cake?
I think tomorrow we're gonna have Drake's cakes, and then when I see our son in a few weeks, we're gonna have a real birthday cake.
Drake's cakes. That's funny. Well, listen, my friend.
Well, you know, and Rick, I'm surprised. Yeah. I mean, it looks like you spent hours and hours baking that cake.
Well, actually, Susan did. And we had to get the M&Ms and stuff like that. But she has one of those things that you do the icing with.
Yeah.
She really had a lot of fun doing it. Then, of course, we photographed it and put it in a frame with those little corners like you used to put on albums. Okay, enough fooling around. Let's get to the serious stuff here. Judy Carandall took this beautiful picture, which it's our banner photo. And again, for the new members, we change the banner every Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, depending on when I can do it. And I think it's just a beautiful picture, and it fits the Facebook format at the top there of our page. But I think this is just a gorgeous picture. I love the mood. I love the feeling.
Yeah, I mean, the colors on this are just absolutely gorgeous. And I like the reflection of the water on, for the sunrise on the water or the sunset. Is it sunrise or sunset? That's sunrise, it looks like. The fact that you have this golden color on the water and contrasting with the dark blue of the sky. The way that you have that pier sort of receding also, it's a great angle. I think you get to see a lot of the detail and the texture and the reflection on that water. If you had shot kind of like down the pier, you wouldn't have had such a dramatic shot. And the clouds certainly are kind of the icing on the cake, pun intended.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you know what I like, because I've done this and I see this. I like the waves coming in and out make a big difference. So not only did Judy wait for the reflection here, but the way, look at this curve here along the bottom. I really like that. Alec, is she here?
I will look, but I don't think so.
Okay. Well, anyway, speaking of Judy and her great shots, I don't think we've shown any of her pictures. I could be wrong. So this is a pretty nice shot by Judy. But Juan, remember I just said Juan likes bird photography? Juan, have you ever seen a picture of a spoonbill like this?
Wow. Yeah, that roseated spoonbill looks like, this is, I guess it's taking a bath, but it almost looks like it's in distress, doesn't it? It's like it was kind of like in the water trying to get out, but pretty cool, interesting shot. Never seen a roseated do anything like this.
Yeah, she says it's taking a bath, so it's probably not stress. But I'm glad, that she used a fast, here on your picture, you used a slow shutter speed. So we can, alter time by changing our shutter speed. So you use the slow shutter speed, to create this dramatic image here. And Judy used that fast shutter speed to, freeze all the little water droplets here. It might look nice blurred too, but I think this is just a beautiful, beautiful image.
I agree.
My shamanism, dead center is deadly. Well, here it's dead center and it's working perfectly. The only thing I might have done is underexposed a little. So we had, so we could see a little detail here. But that's the only thing, because I think that if we tried to reduce exposure by pulling down curves or whatever, we couldn't get that detail back. What do you think, Juan?
Yeah, you may be right that those leading edges look really hot. And yeah, you'd have to look at the histogram to see if you had some data there that you could pull out. But chances are that you don't, because that sun is, you can see by by the shadow of the bill that sun is directly behind the photographer. And those leading edges are always going to be, kind of hot, especially on a light colored bird like a roseated spoonbill. So yeah, check that histogram, and see if you can recover some of that detail. If not, just keep that in mind. When you're shooting a pretty light colored bird against a dark background like that water, your meter in your camera is going to get a little bit confused, and it's going to try to expose to that water. So it may overexpose your bird. Something to keep in mind.
I always do that. That's actually, believe it or not, that's why I switched to a Canon years ago, because of that wheel on the back. It lets you quickly and easy. This is like 1996 when they had film cameras. That wheel lets you control the exposure with just your thumb, where on the Nikon cameras that I was using, it was a two-step process. Now it's a one-step process. But anyway, always think about exposure compensation. And I put this picture in here. Jim Griggs, an amazing wildlife photographer. Getting back to our seminars, we're going to have, Juan and I are going to start that seminar, the Wildlife Sunday seminars. Then we're going to invite other people. Jonathan Scott, who's been on our show, has agreed to do it, and some other of our guests have said they really want to do it and share their knowledge. So I think those seminars are going to be really cool. But anyway, Jim is an amazing photographer, and he was on our Facebook group page because some people had trouble finding us on YouTube. So thank you, Jim. Thank you so much for putting the link in there, the live link. But I think this is just a really cool shot. Now, some of these shots don't look super sharp, and that's because, I'm taking screenshots off low resolution shots on our page. But I really like, it's I put this after this one because I like the way the water droplets are frozen, and I thought this was really cool too. And I'm sure Juan knows the name of this bird.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a belted kingfisher. At least that's what I can tell from looking at it, which is, one of my nemesis birds. Kingfishers and kestrels are two kind of skittish birds, and I do have some good pictures on them, but nowhere near as many as I would like to take in. And so any picture of a belted kingfisher is, I always enjoy them. I like them because I don't get to photograph them all that often. But great action shot. I wish, that there's birds that it was on, if I'm going to be nitpicky, that it wasn't so busy. But I love the fact that we have all this water kind of exploding out of our bird. So very nicely done.
Well, they are skittish, but you could hear them, like on our pond.
Oh, you can hear them a mile away, yeah.
This is an important tip, I think, for bird photographers, right? One, listen. I got some pictures when I was working on this project earlier this year of these Canada geese coming in for a landing and taking off because I heard the honking. So I think it's really important for, and when Susan and I go to Africa, the guides are always listening on safari. They're listening for the birds. They're listening for what the sounds the other animals are making. So for wildlife photographers, it's very important to listen. Okay, Jeannie, one of Susan. No, I thought it was cut off at the bottom. Susan and I know Jean-Ann. Is it Jeannie or Jean-Ann? I can't see here.
I think it's Jeannie. Maybe.
Yeah, Jeannie. Anyway, look at this beautiful picture. I think this was probably taken down in Florida, where she lives, a part of the year. Yeah, it is. I see the palm tree in the back. But this might be taken at one of the wildlife centers that we go to. I think it's just beautiful. Textures, when the sky's not that great, adding the texture can really help an image. And I just love the composition. With this coming up like this, I love the sun, but I also love the texture.
Hey, Rick,
and the way we go into the frame.
Yeah, I want to correct myself. I believe that kingfisher that we saw is a ringed kingfisher, not a belted. It's hard to tell because it's shaking, but I think it's a ringed kingfisher because see how that rusty color extends to the entire chest, whereas a belted kingfisher has a rusty belt along its chest. So anyway, I'm sorry. Let's go back to the other one. I just wanted to make sure before people came and started correcting me and saying I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, I love this shot. It looks like a painting, out of like a movie or something.
Yeah, I mean the texture that they applied here is absolutely gorgeous, and the framing. And this, does it say where this is? when I lived in North Carolina, I used to go to a couple of different wildlife refuges that had these canals. And it made for some amazing photography when we're there early in the morning. So I love the framing of the shot. We talked about framing quite a bit, and these leaves on the right hand side and on the bottom really frame the image and kind of lead our eye into the canal, going right into that sunrise or sunset. Very nice, Jeannie. I like
Okay,
it.
we have. I'm sorry, Juan. I didn't mean to cut you
No, no,
off,
go ahead.
but
Lakota
Jim
Hatchie?
Jim Griggs did his ear and said that it is a ring kingfisher
Yeah.
in Peru.
Okay.
And Jean is also here, and she says it's a neighborhood canal in Boynton Beach.
Well, she has to tell us about that because Susan and I well, we're not going this year, but we go down. Actually, we have seen her a few times down in Florida. Florida is a great place for birds, January through April when they have that birding festival in St. Augustine. Juan, have you been to that birding festival?
No, I know. I've been to the St. Augustine many times, but I have not been to the birding festival. No.
Well, for our members, I don't know if it's happening this year, but you can just do a search
Right.
St. Augustine Photo and Birding Festival, and they have amazing birds, including these guys at the festival. And April is the prime time to do that. But getting back to this shot, I also love that everything in the scene is in focus, like it looks to our eyes, right? So we could see these objects.
It's Rick. It's a cell phone shot processed with Snapseed.
Well, Susan Salmon, who's listening over the house, I'm sure she will love that shot. Really a nice shot. Really a nice shot. Okay, Ramesh. This guy is a master. Susan and I've been to India a few times, and every time he posts a picture, although I didn't do it here, I didn't have a chance to do it yet. I say, I have to meet you. This guy's a master at light and shadows. I think this picture might have been taken at Varanasi, which is a very holy site. I just love that he thought to use a slow shutter. Here, slow shutter speed. Juan had a slow shutter speed. Here we have a fast shutter speed. So it's really important to pay attention to your aperture, like we talked about here, where everything in the scene is in focus, and your shutter speed to really help convey your creative vision.
So yeah, sorry, I have my microphone muted because my dogs are barking in the background. I don't know if you guys can hear them, but yeah, I love the action. I love the color and the framing. A little bit unusual, but it's great because it does bring you in right into the scene. And I'm trying to figure out. It's hard for me to see what's going on in the upper right hand corner. Those light color things. Yeah, what are those? Are those just stuff?
I don't know. I can't really see.
Yeah, and that's so. I guess my point is that's distracting me a little bit. I would try to clone that out to clean up the image. Same thing above. See how the light is hitting that part of the top. So other than that, I think it's a great image. It really pulls me in, but my eye keeps getting a little bit distracted towards that upper right hand corner. So Ramesh, clone those out. It should be fairly easy to do that.
But if you want to see a master of light and shadows, and this actually you could find any member just by going on on the homepage. You'll see the magnifying glass and type in the person's name. You'll see that you'll find him. He's really posting amazing pictures. So I definitely want to get to see him. Okay, Juan, here's the shot that I showed. I wanted to put this really up front because it's one of my favorites. Talk about everything in the scene is in focus. From down here to like way up here. The composition leading us into the scene, like this picture leads us into the scene. I don't know if it's a slow shutter speed, but Jorge, moon-like. It does look like the moon. Hey, he's from Spain, or he was in Spain. I don't know. Yeah.
Same one.
Oh. Yeah. It does look like a heart.
You know, I'm not sure if Jorge meant to do that. Hopefully he did, but it actually works really, really well. I love the way that the clouds are also moving, so it adds a little bit of movement to the scene as well. It doesn't make it a complete static image, which I think, you know, adds to the scene.
And this illustrates something else, that sometimes a vertical landscape can be more effective than a horizontal landscape. So I would say shoot it both ways. But this is just a stunning shot, and people really loved it. So actually, oh, that's why, this is maybe why he's here.
Gentlemen,
Yes.
there are some.
Yeah, I see that. Like I saw the comments already.
Okay.
We had an issue with sound, but the sound is back. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Well, as we said, you know, we're growing, but everyone heard us wish Alec a happy birthday, right?
Right. No, this was
That's
just the last comment that I made that was a little bit, my mic was flaking out.
Okay. So anyway, Rob Smith has been here before. Juan, you just said that you love the reflection here in the water. When we're talking about this picture, we love the reflection in the water. Look at the colors of this reflection. We have yellow, we have orange, we have blue. The composition, I think, is beautiful. The way that, you know, he composed this. So this is like going through the scene from almost like the top right to the bottom left, and all the rocks. I think it's pretty near, for me anyway, a perfect photo. And, you know, here's something else. You know, talking about creative vision. This was taken with a wide angle lens, right? And this was taken with the 100 to 5. He got the 100 to 500. All right, at 200. Alec, you have that lens. I have that lens.
I do. It's a very cool lens.
And breakthrough photography. Juan, do you use those filters?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I use the whole slew of breakthrough photography filters. I think that they're probably some of the best out there today.
Color neutral, right?
Yeah, very, very neutral, and you know they're great to use, easy to use because they have a nice wide grip on the outside.
Do you use the magnetic ones?
I'm using the magnetic ones, you know, which, you know, they've been, I think the magnetics are not, you can't get them right now, but I do enjoy the magnetic filters because you don't have to screw in or out, and they stay on very nicely. I think one of the biggest drawback with the magnetics is that you can't stack. So if you need to use a polarizer and neutral density, you can't stack those together. Right. And I think that's why they're not available right now, because he's reworking them so that you'll be able to stack them. But in any case, I use, because when I'm using a neutral density, I almost always also want to use a polarizer. I use the combination that have both a polarizer and a neutral density in one filter, which makes it a lot easier to use just one filter that you put on, and it works beautifully. So I know a lot of people are waiting for the new magnetics from Breakthrough Photography. So hopefully they'll be able to come out with those pretty soon.
And this is a 6-stop.
Yep.
So like when I go out, I take a 3, a 6, and a
10.
And a 10, 3, 6,
yeah,
and 10.
That's exactly what I take out. It's a 3, 6, and a 10.
Cool. Well, if we ever do the workshop, the waterfall workshop, we could tell people, we could suggest how to make cool shots like that. But anyway, I love this picture.
Yeah, and I mean, the reflections are beautiful, the colors are beautiful, and the long exposure, I think, works here as well. It's not too long, you know, because there's not a lot of, you know, this looks like a very slow creek moving. So that's why he's shot at, 20 seconds, which actually is pretty long, but you can still see a lot of texture in that water. I think the light must have been really low because, you know, for a 20-second exposure, you know, the light had to be, you know, pretty low.
And he's at f32.
Yeah, because he's shooting with a long lens.
And for our members, if you post information like this, this will help us when we're talking about it, but also more important to help our other members. So definitely, if you can, add a location. This is cool, and the information. Okay, over here.
So Robert does say that he uses a magnetic filter with a stacked sheet ND filter.
Okay.
Yeah, with the square filters on top. Yep.
Okay, and as we say, Phototherapy Live would not be Phototherapy Live without Sissy, who took this in her backyard. I mean, how amazing is this?
I love the little worlds that we're seeing in all of these droplets, right? They serve as like, almost like wide angle lenses, capturing everything the scene that's behind them and focusing them also. Really, really neat, and I do have to say, really cool perspective on this, on this spider web. Really nice.
Yes, for our members again, check out Sissy Fry's work. I think she posted. It was hard to pick a favorite because she has so many. I think she posted 4, 6, or 8 of these close-ups in her backyard, a secret garden. So good for you, Sissy. And my guess is she's here, Alec.
She is here.
Well,
as always.
As always. Well, that's why we always. Well, you know what? She's always posting a great picture, so that's why. Look at Mike Kubasi, one of my good friends, said very creative. This guy was he's a Hollywood still photographer on a lot of TV shows. So if he says it's good too, that's a nice compliment, Sissy. Okay, this picture, another Rob Smith. We pick these sometimes, without looking at the names. So if you see 2 people's pictures there in here and you don't see yours, there's a lot of reasons, maybe, time or whatever. We can't show like 1,000 pictures, but I love like the S curve created by this. And one, as mentioned, every time we're talking about water, how important the shutter speed is. And, again, getting back to my shirt, it depends. But I think this was like, for me anyway, everything is subjective. Everything's subjective. I think the very long shutter speed here, and at 30 seconds. So this water, my guess is moving a little faster, is just beautiful. And that he made it a black and white.
Well, and it's what I find really interesting about this scene is that when you first look at this, you're not sure what you're looking at. You don't know that it's, water-worn rock. That's, with all these channels in it and there's water running through it. When I was first looking at it, I thought maybe it was, a figure study or maybe it was a still life. I wasn't, it took me a little while to kind of go through my head and try to figure out, what it is that I'm looking at. And like we said before, these are the kind of images you want to create, the ones that make people wonder about, what this is about, because it makes people focus on the scene longer and look for your images longer. It's kind of interesting, the choice that he made of a super, super long exposure here of 30 seconds, which, made that water very ethereal looking. You see how it has like almost no texture to it. It's just that color and form to it. So it's kind of another way of interpreting that water by doing a very long exposure. And then you remove that texture out of the water and it just becomes, light and shapes. That's it. Very nice.
This is a good example. Ansel Adams said, a picture is often looked at, not looked into. I think when you were describing this one, you're looking into this picture. And I think that's really important for our members. When you're going through your pictures, don't just look at your pictures. Try to look into your pictures and try to see what that picture is saying. But again, thanks for posting the location. And use the tilt shift lens. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's how he's got that that super depth of field going all the way to the back. You see how everything is sharp from the foreground all the way to the back.
Yeah, those lenses aren't cheap.
No, and they're tricky to use.
Yeah. Architectural photographers definitely don't leave home without them. Okay, Gene Duffy has been here before. This reminded me, I think it's a very, very cool shot. Let me make it like a little larger if I can. I love the mood. I love the feeling. Pretty good exposure, right? We have detail here. We have detail down here. So the picture has a little bit of noise. And I was talking to Scott Kelby recently about noise. And he has a great expression. He says, the only people who care about noise are photographers.
That's right.
I mean, forget it. I think this is just a gorgeous, moody, stormy picture that I love.
Yeah, I've been to this lighthouse many, many times. This is Marshall Point Lighthouse, and I immediately recognized it when the image came up, even before reading the comment, because I've been there so much. And you will probably recognize it. This is the Forrest Gump Lighthouse, and the Forrest Gump, when he's running across the country, and he's going from west to east, he gets to this lighthouse, and he decides, oh, he's reached the Atlantic Ocean. Now he turns back around. And it is an absolutely beautiful spot. And, Gene was here during a nor'easter. I mean, that's kind of crazy. I mean, you can see the snow on the ground, on the bottom, on the lower right and left. But I think that's really what made this image so beautiful is the fact that it was shot during a storm where the water's crashing, you got snow on the ground, the blanks are wet, and maybe even a tiny bit of a fog. That's why you have this sort of glow to the image, or at least that's the effect that she was trying to create. So it's actually very, very effective, really beautiful shot. I guess I'm going to have to make a trip out there during one of the next storms. Yeah.
Well, you know what else is impressive? That there's no water droplets on her lens unless she cloned them out. Because in a scene like this, right, one tiny droplet can ruin your picture. And because, it's so gradual from the center to outside, sometimes it's hard to get rid of. But I think, so I always, when I'm in a situation like this, I always have in my hand or, easily accessible, a lens cleaning cloth. Because again, that tiny drop can really ruin the shot.
And I'm guessing also this is why, like you mentioned before, there's a lot of noise in the image, is because this was pretty dark. So she was probably shooting at pretty high ISOs. But again, in a situation like this, the noise and the grain does add to the image, right?
Well, absolutely, and you could do that in the digital darkroom. And there are photographers, Robert Farber, who I met in 1980. He built his reputation on soft, grainy pictures. So anyway, really good. I think we might have to speed up a little here. I put this one in here, a Freddie Clark. Yes, it has water. It has water in there, but I put it in because he's a good guy. And Alec, see Alex smiling. You do workshops with him, right?
I do workshops with Freddie, and he's actually coming to help me get my studio functioning next week. So it's always great to see Freddie's work.
Yeah, Freddie is, and I like the angle that and that looks really good. With the salt there, cool margarita.
And one of my favorite drink, a margarita.
I know. Look at that. Okay, Ted Johnson. These are textures by water. A submerged palm prawn catches the sunlight falling on Alligator Lake in Lake City, Florida. Ripple was added by textures. Look at that. The rippling was added textures and highlights. Oh, no, the rippling water. I thought he maybe added a texture. But look at this creative shot, right?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's something. I mean, you had to have seen that, right? Yeah. I mean, this is the shot that, I sometimes feel like completely inadequate because I look at these images, like I would have walked right by that and not have thought 2 seconds about it. But you look at this shot and it does create an incredible abstract graphic image that makes you want to keep looking into it, both the ripples in the foreground as well as the way the light is hitting those palm fronds. Absolutely. I mean, what an eye to be able to catch that just because I certainly would not have seen that. I'm not sure about you, Rick. Would you have seen that, you think?
Probably not. But I also like the way, the angle that he shot at and the colors, right? We talk about composing for colors. We have blue and green. We have red and yellow. I think it's just an amazing picture. So good for you, Ted. Good for you. Here's another close-up. Bridget Luck, Indian Ocean, South Africa. Again, beautiful colors, beautiful textures. And what's great about the happy hour? That, I think we have a lot of examples. We keep going back and forth. What you learn, in one picture, you could learn and apply it to another picture. So here, in Rob's picture, we have the subject going from the top right to the bottom left. And here we have the subject going from the top left to the bottom right. So shooting and composing, Juan started out by saying, when talking about his picture, it's all about composition. This is all about composition. This is all about composition. And we could go through the list.
Yeah, this is what I like about this is, when you look at this image, you're not sure whether the water's coming or going. So you end up looking at like 2 different images. As I focus on the top part of the image, to me, the picture's one way. And then when I focus on the lower right-hand part of the image, it's like the image flips and it kind of goes upside down. It has this sort of weird, interesting visual effect, or optical effect, which is kind of cool. But certainly that line, that leading line, is what's drawing my eye to follow that line and keep going up and down and making that image flip back and forth. But the other cool thing about this is that you can't tell whether this was shot from a satellite or it was shot down with a macro lens down on the water, because you have nothing to give you that size perspective. So again, it adds more mystery and more intrigue to the image. It makes me want to look at it even more.
I was going to say the same thing. That I don't know if she was flying over Bridget. Maybe you could let us know, or I could type the comment that she could answer. But if she's flying around in a plane or really close to the ground. And Phyllis, one of our moderators, she says, love the layers. So layers are another way to add a sense of depth to an image. Jennifer, this is just an amazing picture. Juan, when you do your workshop out in Yellowstone, do you go here?
Yeah, that she doesn't say where it is, but this is Grand Prismatic, right? I mean, this could be, it is Grand Prismatic. I was thinking it could also be the Norris Geyser Basin as well. But yeah, this is, one of the challenges with Grand Prismatic is that when you're up close, you don't get to see the changing colors all that well. So you want to be, it used to be that you had to climb that mountain that you see in the background. Now they've actually built a platform out there where you can actually go and get on that platform and shoot from above and be able to see that beautiful shot that we all like to see on Grand Prismatic, which is like a big colorful circle or eye. But Jennifer here was able to capture those colors in a totally different way, with those oranges in the foreground, the edge of the water, which is that yellowish, and then the blue with the steam coming up. Now, the challenge here, for those of you that go there, is that you don't want too much of that steam, and you don't want too little of the steam. Mm-hmm. So in the winter, this is a really hard place to photograph. It's better to shoot not in the middle of the summer, but in the spring or fall season, the shoulder season, so that you get the right temperature, so you get the right amount of fog. So nicely done. I love the colors. The only thing I would say is I think the colors are a little bit oversaturated. Those greens are a little bit too green. The blues are a little bit too blue. I would turn the saturation down a tiny bit. Same thing with the sky. But other than that, I think it's a brilliant image. Very well done.
I agree with all those things. You mentioned challenge, I think, 3 times, and I'm going to share a challenge. Actually, the biggest challenge I think people face when they get there. But I think, just this would have made a nice picture too, because here I'm kind of looking for the top of the mountain. It's really not that high, right? So I would have either included the mountain, or maybe Jennifer, you could try cropping it. But Susan and I were here, I guess, 2 years ago. And the biggest challenge for anyone who goes there in the popular months is going to be, right? He knows what I'm going to. God knows what I'm going to say. Avoiding people with cell phones, with selfie sticks, right?
Oh my God!
You knew
yes.
You knew it was coming, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, The summers are just something else. I guess if you want to avoid those people that you're saying, all the people with selfie sticks. The one tip for you. So I've been leading workshops in Yellowstone for 16 years. I've been going there for many, many years, and you've been going longer than that. But I've only been there in the summer once, and there was a reason for that, because the summer is just absolutely a madhouse in Yellowstone. But the reason we go into summer is because that's when the kids can are out of school.
Right.
But the trick to do this is go early in the morning, go out for sunrise. And you'll be amazed when the park is full of people at noon. You can have some of these locations all to yourself if you go at sunrise, because people on vacation, and guess what? Most people don't want to wake up that early when they're on vacation. Photographers are a different breed, but normal people, they don't want to get up at the crack of dawn when they're on vacation. So that's the best time to go into the park. You can have some of these locations all to yourself if you're out there bright and early.
Susan and I also saw people walking off the walkway there. I mean, no, it's just unbelievable. But there's actually another challenge if you go to Yellowstone, and it's finding good food. Like concessions in the park. Aren't they horrible?
Well, they used to be good, and they've just gotten worse and worse over the years. I can tell you, it's just incredible.
Yeah, bring your own food. So
Yeah.
anyway, those are some of the challenges that you're going to find in Yellowstone. Bridget Luck, I
Mm.
photographed hippos in Africa, but I don't have a shot as dramatic as this. I think this is just awesome. She's in the right place at the right time. I'm sure there were the guys, and she was moving around to get into this position, but it's just a beautiful shot. I love the way that she has the whole circle of water down here. The mouth is open. We have the water coming up. We keep talking about how important choosing the right shutter speed is. She has the sky in the back. I think Bridget, I think you're right. Someone is enjoying the water, and I think a lot of people right now are enjoying your photograph.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the tricky part with this image was getting the right exposure, right? And being
Yeah.
ready for that moment with the right exposure, because, the camera would tend to make this a lot brighter, not silhouetting that hippo. So hopefully Bridget was prepared for that shot, and they were kind of expecting that shot, and was able to make it absolutely brilliant. To get a nice, fast enough shutter speed to freeze that water and freeze the motion. Yeah, and there's so much to see here. That light reflected and going through the water really brings it up gorgeous, absolutely beautiful.
And Bridget shot at the peak of action. So when we're doing wildlife photography, shooting at the peak of action, I don't know if this is the peak of action, but it's near the peak of action. So down here, the peak of action. This is one thing, of course we have to shoot at the highest frame rate. And another shot, might look cooler, but I always go for gesture, and usually it's the peak of action. So good job, Bridget. Okay, another Bonnie. Bonnie's been here. Bonnie Davidson. Alec, how are they? Any questions? Can we help the people?
I think just to catch up on a couple, I do want to give credit to Jennifer that when she took that picture, it was her first visit to that location, and she had her dogs with her. So there was a lot going on, and she was able to snap that image. And I think on the recent picture of the hippo, both Phyllis and Steve Kessler commented. Phyllis said the decisive moment, and Steven said the dramatic moment, right? So the gesture and the action. So people are definitely agreeing on that, and they also have similar opinions to you and Juan on the dreaded selfie stick.
More people are killed in Africa by hippos than by lions, because people think, they're slow. Well, these guys are really fast. Once Susan and I, we got up early in the morning in pitch darkness to get in the safari vehicle. We're walking down a path, and a hippo came into the path, and boy, I never saw the guides move us out of there so fast, like behind a tree.
Well, they can run very fast, and they're very aggressive.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, so where are we? We had hippo. Okay, Bonnie's been here before. We talk about the gesture. Well, clouds can have, and we saw in the water can have gesture. I love the gesture of the clouds, the way they're going, at an angle like this, and they're kind of blurred like this. Now, here Bonnie shot, straight on. In our other peer shot, it was at an angle. Let me get back here. So really, like my shirt says, it depends. I think here this works beautifully. And she left some empty space here.
Well, I mean, I think that really what probably dictated the angle that she was shooting at, not just the location that she was at, but also that sky. Being able to have those clouds kind of at an angle to give your eye a path to follow. Make this image. If that line in the sky was kind of straight across the horizon, it may not have been as effective. I think is having it as diagonal. I will take a diagonal line over a horizontal line any day of the week. It just feels a lot more dynamic. So kudos for if you got to that point to get that angle on the light, yeah, absolutely kudos to you, Bonnie. If not, that was great luck and good shooting.
I want to go back. I meant to say something. I can't find it. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on it. But someone said something that I wanted to mention. Okay, Heidi Erickson has been here before. This must, this is another one of those shots, Juan, right? It could be like, well, I guess it's not a drone shot because the leaves are so big, but it could look like an aerial shot if you're not looking close, right?
Right. I mean, I've been here many times. Actually, when I was down in Watkins, in Ricketts Glen, we went up to Watkins Glen afterwards to shoot the waterfalls there. This past summer, and it's actually a beautiful place. I love the Watkins Glen waterfall and the little park there. Lots to shoot, lots to see. And this year the water was kind of low there as well, just as it was in Ricketts Glen. But this looks like it was later on in the fall, maybe hopefully this year or maybe another year, where those leaves were changing color. And yes, you're right in that you don't get a perspective on size, except that you get that from the leaves. The leaves gives you a little bit of hint of what you're looking at. But again, I see that the water there is quite low this year, just like it was in the summer. So it made it a little bit challenging, photographically speaking, because you want to have all that water flowing. But the leaves more than made up for that.
Yeah, this is really cool, and I don't know if this is natural because I haven't been there.
Yes,
but
it is.
We talked.
Yep.
No, what I'm going to say is that the edges are dark.
Oh, sorry.
Right. No, that's okay. So I don't know if she put a vignette on here or not, but I think it's really cool that when you do that vignette, your eye really goes to the center. Okay, we're coming down the home stretch here. Juan, maybe I'll go through the pictures, and the next one you could give a comment, and we'll alternate. How's that?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Wow, that is. As soon as I saw this, I'm like, oh, this looks like Iceland.
Yeah.
Steve Nimzek. He was in Iceland with me, so maybe he took this image when he was in Iceland with me. I love again that exposure, getting the right exposure, and especially for moving water. What I tell folks is to vary their shutter speed, because depending on the water, you may get different effects and different looks on the water. So that's the biggest tip that I can give to someone when they're shooting water is vary your shutter speed. Look at the results, find a shutter speed that makes that water look the way you want it to look, and stick to that shutter speed for the rest of the shot. I remember, if this is the time when Steve was with me in Iceland, we had dreadful weather the entire time we were there, and very overcast. So I see that why he took I'm thinking that's why he turned this into a black and white, because the sky, the color of the sky wasn't all that great. But he definitely made the best of this image by turning it into black and white. And as we said before, adding some contrast to the scene, making it a dense image. When you're doing black and white, go for that black and white. Get that contrast going.
I am going to comment on the next picture, but I'm not going to comment on this because we're going to try to go through these fast. But you said something about the weather, right? That you had dreadful weather.
Oh, we had dreadful weather on that workshop.
Anyone who's been to Iceland knows this expression. If you're in Iceland and you think weather is bad, wait 10 minutes. It'll get worse.
Right.
Right. So we were there once, Juan. We were there once where it was so windy. We had dinner in a restaurant and no cabs would go out because they didn't want their doors blown off.
Yep. I had one year was the same thing. There was like 70 mile per hour winds just on this. Yeah. Just crazy.
It's crazy. So this is why you want to spend a lot of time there. Okay. Shilali, this is actually this is on the Oregon coast in Yachats. Really a cool shot. This is right behind the Adobe Hotel. So if you stay in the Adobe Hotel and just walk down to the shore, you'll see that Susan and I was surprised that this place is just like right behind the hotel. But I think what we've seen here, how important it is to choose, or experiment. Juan was saying with this picture that he suggests to his students to vary the shutter speed, right?
Yep, so absolutely.
We have like a medium shutter speed. We don't have a super fast shutter speed. We have a little bit of blur. We can see that it's slow because we have this movement down here. But I just love this at sunset. It's not an easy shot to get due to the contrast range. So a really cool shot. Okay, Juan, back to you.
Well, again, we go back to that same thing that I was talking about, varying your shutter speed. This almost looks like not just a slow shutter speed to capture that motion blur in the water, but it does look like Karen moved her camera as well. Because if you look at that sand in the foreground, it looks like, the sand is moving. So it looks like she panned the camera from left to right to create this sort of ethereal, otherworldly, pastel-y look. Again, something else to think about when you're in a situation where There may not be anything in the foreground that adds a lot of interest. So what do? You remove some of the reality from the scene. We've said that many times, right, Rick?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you can remove some of that reality from the scene and make it that much more interesting. And it looks like that's what Karen did here. Found a slow shutter speed and panned the camera from left to right or from right to left as that shutter was going to make that sort of pastel-y look on the, not just on the sand in the foreground, but also on the sky.
Really a good job. Phyllis over here says, how painterly, and I think it definitely looks like a painting. Okay, Marilyn Bartholomew, look at this beautiful picture. I love the way the way you could see through, this main waterfall into the waterfall behind. We have a lot of things in, we have the foreground elements in focus. We have the background elements in focus. And we get that by using the wide angle lens, small aperture, focusing 1/3 into the scene. I might have darkened over here just a little bit. But again, all this is subjective. But this is in Kansas. I don't know if Jim Griggs has been here, but Jim is an amazing photographer. And Jim, maybe he could let us know if he has been to this really cool location. But it's really changing the shutter speeds we've seen. We're taking out some of the reality, as Juan said, taking out some of the reality from the scene.
Well, here's another time travel image, right? When we're doing a long exposure. And these are the kind of scenes that I love. This looks like something in the Smokies National Park in North Carolina and Tennessee. Lots of streams look just like this, small moss-covered rocks with beautiful clear spring water going down those streams. And that long exposure. But what I really like about this image, the fact that we have this long exposure is beautiful, but the fact that we have this dappled light coming in, or dappled light coming into the scene, in the rocks in the foreground, the rocks in the background, in the water, adding some depth and dimension to the scene. I think that's what really makes the image that much more interesting. If the light had been kind of flat, which is oftentimes what we're looking for when we're shooting like waterfalls or moving water, here, that dappled light makes a huge difference and makes the image pop out of the screen.
Juan, I agree with you. Alec, remember when we were in China, Scott Kelby was demonstrating that if you have a scene like this and you don't have dapple light, or if you want to add to the dapple light, you can see my mouse, right? My cursor?
Yep. Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah.
He said just randomly, think about
in.
remember he showed us this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he just spent about, a minute or two going over with the Dodge tool and a Dodge brush, and he was able to do it, and it looked really, really cool.
Really cool.
Really cool. So, and actually, since Scott did that, I've been doing that a lot. Carolyn Fox, she lives out in Yellowstone. Did you ever meet up with her, Juan?
No, I have not. No, I have not.
Well, anyway, she calls this the ring of the rise. Is what fishermen call it. This is when a fish goes up to the surface, and you could see the rocks below. So for our members, I think Carolyn posted a low resolution picture, which is why it's not filling the screen like some of the other pictures here. I could be wrong. But anyway, I just love that she didn't place it in the center of the frame, that we could softly see the rocks. Maybe if she used a polarizing filter, we could see the rocks sharper, but I think the rocks look just so beautiful, blurred like this. So good job, Carolyn. So Juan, you get to comment on this one. Marty Snyderman, and the story is here.
Wow, this image is amazing. It's probably my favorite shot of all the ones we've seen today. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason is because of the daredevil that's up there. That guy that looks like his shoes are going to be melted. He's going to leave this place, without any shoes and probably without feet, because they're going to burn as well. Absolutely gorgeous, amazing image. This is something that I've always wanted to see. I wanted to see the lava flowing into the ocean. And I've never seen somebody that close to this section, to this area as well. So I definitely have to make it a trip with it. Beautiful. The light is nice. It's kind of a little, I guess, sunrise or sunset. So probably somewhere in the afternoon. But absolutely gorgeous. After sunrise, it says. So it's early in the morning because you have that nice light color in the background. And, I have friends who've been here, and that's what they do. They go out on a boat, in pitch darkness to get out there to make this image. So I wonder if Marty knew this person was going to be there, or that was just a lucky coincidence.
Marty could have put this in the fast-paced action.
Yeah, no kidding.
I bet this guy's running pretty fast, right?
Wow. Yeah, this is
But anyway,
amazing.
I asked Marty to put the story in there, so you could, if you want to hear the whole story, definitely check out Marty over here. Speaking of close-ups, Debbie, this is just an amazing picture. Icy stare. One day, some of the heat wave, blah blah blah. Again, you could read about this stuff. She put the ice in food coloring. Okay, this is another example of something that we might want to try during COVID when we're stuck, we're not traveling to places like Iceland and all over the planet. I just love the mood. I love the feeling of this. She used lighting underneath the cake stand. Hey, Alex,
Wow.
when you get your cake tomorrow, you could try that. But look at this.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I think this is just a beautiful shot. And again, for our members, do a search on all these photographers that we've mentioned, and you could see the amazing work that they and our other members are doing. David Stern, he had, I can't see all this was taken earlier in the week. He got a ton of comments out of this. This was a leaf in his driveway. I don't know how this must be a template, but this looks like it's like a Peter, like a 8 foot tall. Oh, wait, I think it's your turn, Juan, right?
Yeah, it is, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Keep going. Keep going.
Sorry, we're coming down the home stretch. We're over. I apologize. But anyway, the leaf in his driveway, it looks like it's an 8 foot high Peter Lick, actually better than a Peter Lick picture in a gallery.
Yeah, I love the shapes of the water droplets on the leaf itself.
Yeah. Okay, Juan, since I went out of turn, go ahead, Mike Cullivan.
Oh
What do you think?
wow! Wonder where is this Saint Nectar's Glen Falls? Wonder where that is. Beautiful, beautiful shot. I love the fact that this water is coming down and then coming out through this portal. Hey, Mike, you've been holding out on me. Where is this? I'm sure this is not in Maine, but it's absolutely stunning image. I think I would have liked to see a little bit more light on that on the rocks in the foreground. That you have such beautiful moss that I would like to see a little bit more of it so that I can, have a little bit more contrast between my water and the moss in the foreground, and maybe some of the colors in the rocks. But and I wonder though, also he has a nice square crop. I think I may have liked a little bit less squarish crop, but see that shows my bias. I'm not too big of a fan of square crops. But this is absolutely stunning. I love the fact that you left enough room at the bottom, enough room at the top to see the origin of the waterfall and where the waterfall ends. That's a mistake that a lot of people make, that I think you definitely should always have the beginning and the end of that waterfall. If you can, see where the source of the water is and where the water ends as well. I gotta get with Mike and find out where it is. This is absolutely a stunning location. Beautiful shot.
I think one of the things that Mike has focused on during this pandemic is adding these beautiful frames. Each one looks a little different to me, but this looks like with the beveled edges, right? I mean, he's really doing it. So anyway, for our members, they may want to try that. And last but not least, Tom Reese, he posts a ton of fun pictures, always bring a smile. They always bring a smile to my face. Susan and I like the movie The Shape of Water, and I think this is just a fun shot. He loves photographing his grandkids. He got a lot of likes on this too. Great capture, cool shot. Wow, super photo, Tom. There are times when this is exactly what I need. So that's happy hour for a kid.
Yeah. Hey, Rick, Sissy says that you skipped one image, maybe?
Well, actually, this was a water shot. He was in Iceland with me, actually. Nathan was in Iceland, but this is like another water shot, and I didn't really want to go over, but it's cool. And Sissy, thanks for keeping me on my toes. I love the gesture of this. And this is Robert. Oh, this is probably why she saw that I missed it, because she commented. This is from Antarctica. Now, Juan, you've been there. I think you need.
Wait, where they shot this from? This is like is this a drone shot?
Well, when I go, IOTA, the group,
right, you're not allowed to.
You're not allowed to shoot with the drone. So I don't know how Robert got this shot, but they make before you go.
Maybe from a helicopter, probably.
maybe from a helicopter.
Yeah,
Maybe from a
beautiful.
helicopter.
Yeah, very interesting. I think that the colors are a little bit off, so I would try to work on the colors, make them a little bit more realistic. We like to have that blue, but this is a little bit too blue. So maybe adjust your white balance a little bit. Don't you think?
Yeah, it's tempting, right? It is blue ice, right?
Right.
It is tempting. I've been known to do that myself. So anyway, I'm going to stop screen sharing. It's back to us, guys. It was another great phototherapy live. Thank you, Juan, for putting this together. Alec, thanks for being our moderator. Again, we're not going to be here next week. Juan's going to be very safe photographing in Utah, right?
Yep. So you're leaving tomorrow morning for Utah. We're going to be outdoors, and we have a whole COVID protocol. So we're going to stay safe. Trust me, I don't want to get this thing, no matter what anybody says. It's no fun, and it can be risky for anybody. So next week we won't have a phototherapy live. We'll be back the week after that. What day? What does that make us? What day?
Yeah, we're not here on the 22nd.
So we'll be back on the 29th.
You'll be back on the 29th. By the way, do you know what your chances of getting the virus are?
Is this a dad joke?
Well, my son Marco, was getting his PhD in finance. He had a saying. He says, "Dad, what's your chance of getting snake eyes when you roll the dice?" So I'm thinking, okay, the sides of this and that. So I forget what he said. He said no. He said your chance of getting snake eyes is 50-50. Either get it or you don't. So it's the same thing with the virus. What's your chance? 50-50. You either get it or you don't. But the safer you are, the less chance you have of getting it. So, Alec,
right.
Happy birthday tomorrow. Think
Happy
of
birthday,
all your
Alec.
friends that they think of all
Thank
your
you, and I
friends.
want to thank everybody for the well wishes, and I'm comfortable enough to say that it's the big 6-0 for everybody who asked.
Well, that was 10 years ago for me and 9 years to come ahead for Juan, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So I prefer to think of it as the 39th anniversary of my 21st birthday. So
Well, I'll leave you with this thought. My father, something happened. We were in Italy, and he gave me this quote. He said, "You are now where I once was. I am now where you one day will be." So you guys are where I once was, and someday you'll be where I am now. So anyway, it was a ton of fun. Thanks for all our members for tuning in on YouTube. Craig Ellis. I don't know if he made any comments. He's here. He's going to be following us. So Juan and I are working with him on some projects, and we'll catch everyone later. Right, Juan?
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, folks. Take care, Alex, and take care, Rick. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. See you next in 2 weeks. Take care.
long.